Chapter 1. Early Trade Activities. Trade is considered to be as ancient as mankind. People had always traded to exchange what they had in abundance for what they could not produce. पयली लोक आपल्याकडे कितें आसा तें दुसऱ्याक दिताले, दुसऱ्याकडे कितें आसा तें आपल्याक घेताले. The trading activities was always a part of the human civilization. Since the ancient period, trading relations had existed since the days of the ancient Greek and the Roman civilization. Evidence of these trading activities between the East and the West had been proved by the Roman coins, which have been found in the exhibitions in different countries, including India. आता ट्रेडिंग एक्टिविटीज चलताल्यो हे आमकां कळटले जाल्यार एविडन्सीस आसात. एविडन्स आसते रोमन कॉइन्सांचे. इवन एज अर्ली एज इंडस व्हॅली सिविलायझेशन इन इंडिया, information of trade between India and Mesopotamia has been recorded. In the Middle Ages, Mediterranean and Baltic seas were used as commercial highways. In the Middle Ages, Mediterranean and Baltic seas were used as commercial highways. And cities like, please, the countries असते कट करात, it is cities. And the cities like Genova and Venice were the important commercial cities. ह्यो दोन्ही commercial cities आशिल्ल्यो, Genova and Venice. Mediterranean Sea and Baltic Sea were the commercial highways, and Genova and Venice were the important commercial cities. It was here that the merchants from Europe and Asia met to exchange their goods. The Silk Route was also one of the major routes used by the Arab merchants to carry out their trading activities with the Far Eastern countries like China. The Silk Route was also one of the major routes used by the Arab merchants to carry out their trading activities with the Far Eastern countries like China. The trade routes of the ancient and the Middle Ages were land routes, which passed through various countries. The trade routes actually they were all were land routes, and they passed through different countries of the world. Till the 15th century, these routes were used by the traders, who earned huge profits by selling the goods from one country to another. हे लँड रुटावयल्यान लोक व्यापार करताले, and they earned huge profits by selling the goods from one country to another. The European demand for the goods from the East continued to increase, and this made the commercial class the richest class in the society. हे ट्रेडाक लागून commercial class, merchant class became the richest class in the society. But these trading activities received a setback due to the developments in the international politics during the 14th and 15th centuries, which necessitated the need to discover a new trade route. At the 14th 15th century जी situations जाली तांकां लागून एक नवो रूट सोदचो पडलो, which would be more safer, more convenient and not under the control of any country. असो तो रूट आसपाक जाय जो सेफ आशिल्लो, more convenient आशिल्लो आणि was not under the control of any country. This led the age of geographical discoveries, which was the period from 15th to 17th century, when the European had explored the continents of Asia and Africa and discovered America. At the causes of the geographical discoveries, किती causes आशिल्ले? There are many causes. So first म्हणतो तो limitations of the land routes. Second, knowledge of the wealth of the eastern countries. Number 3, growth of the geographical knowledge. Number 4, patronage from the European monarchs. 5th, desire to spread Christianity. 6th, availability of navigational aids. Yeah, main points. These are the causes of the geographical discoveries. कित्याक लागून geographical discoveries करची पडले लोकांक? First one was limitations of land routes. आता आमी फर्स्ट पळयतात. फर्स्ट कॉज कितें आशिल्लो? हांगा सुद्दां आमकां 4 मार्कांचो क्वेश्चन येवपाक शकता. सो limitations of the land routes. The land routes had its own limitations. First, traveling by the land routes was time consuming. खूप time लागतालो land route वयल्यान वतना. It took months together to travel from one place to another. They were full of risk because there was a danger. Traders always face the danger of being attacked by the robbers. एखादी चोर बी अटॅक करपा शकतालो तांकां. There were no proper lodging facilities for the traders during the night time. रातची रावपा तांकां proper lodging facilities नासताल्यो. Number 3, the time taken for traveling made it impossible for the traders to carry the trade in perishable goods. Perishable goods म्हणजे जे goods पेड्डेड जावपाक शकतात, जे टिकपा शकना चड तेप. The time taken for the traveling made it impossible for the traders to carry the trade in perishable goods. Since the land routes passed through the countries, there was a danger of them being closed down by the rulers. एकदा आपापले राज्यांतल्यान वता ते रस्ते रुलर्स बंद करपा शकताले, सो तांकां मुखार ट्रेड करपाक मेळचो नाशिल्लो. Because of the limitations of these land routes, a need was felt of a new type of commercial route which would be more beneficial to the traders. म्हणजे आता लँड रुटा वयल्यान वचत जाल्यार तांकां कितलीशी लिमिटेशन्स आसात, सो तांकां एक असो रस्तो सोदून काडपाक जाय आशिल्लो जो मोर बेनिफिशियल, चड फायद्याचो आशिल्लो तांचे खातीर, ट्रेडर्सां खातीर. आता सेकंड पॉयंट, नॉलेज ऑफ द वेल्थ ऑफ द ईस्टर्न कंट्रीज. Europeans had the information of the wealth and the riches of the eastern countries either through the records of the earlier traders or by witnessing the profits earned by the traders through their trading activities of the goods sold at high prices. आता युरोपियन्सां इन्फॉर्मेशन मेळटालें. कसलें इन्फॉर्मेशन? जाल्यार वेल्थ एंड रिचीस ऑफ द ईस्टर्न कंट्रीज either through the records of the earlier traders or by witnessing the profits earned by the traders. तांचे प्रॉफिट्स आसताले ताजे पासून, तांगेले जे रिकॉर्ड आशिल्ले तांचे पासून तांकां सगळी इन्फॉर्मेशन मेळटालें युरोपियन्सांक. मार्को पोलोस विजीट इन द 13th century to the kingdom of Kublai Khan in China and the precious stones that he had brought from there created a desire in the minds of the traders to amass wealth, and for this they were ready to undertake any amount of risk. मार्को पोलो विजिट करता 13th century चायना इन कुबलाई खानचं किंगडम आणि तो पण जे प्रिसियस स्टोन्स हाडटा ते पळयतकीर बाकी ट्रेडर्सांच्या मनान वेल्थ जमोवपाची तांकां इच्छा जाता. अँड फॉर दीस दे वर रेडी टू अंडरटेक एनी अमाउंट ऑफ रिस्क. कितेंय करपाक ते तयार आशिल्ले. Goods like Chinese silk, Indian cotton and precious stones, perfumes and other items like gums, dyes, fragrant wood, etc. were always in demand in the European market. Goods like Chinese silk, Indian cotton, precious stones, perfumes and other items like gems, dyes, fragrant wood, हे सगळ्यांक डिमांड आसतालो युरोपियन मार्केटाक. The ever increasing and insatiable demand for these goods among the rich section of the European society encouraged the European merchants to find new sea route to the east. आता जर वतले हे सगळे वेल्थ एक करपाक जावं वेल्थ हाडपाक जाल्यार तांकां एक नवो सी रूट सोदून काडचो पडपाक लागलो. लँड रूट काडून आनी कांयच फायदो ना, म्हणटा नवो सी रूट सोदून काडचो पडलो, सो दॅट दे कूड ब्रिंग दीज लक्झरी आयटम्स and make enormous profit. Third point, growth of the geographical knowledge. Growth of the geographical knowledge also inspired the explorers to undertake the geographical explorations and discoveries. A number of books were published in the 15th century which provided useful information about the trade routes between the Far East and West and improved the geographical knowledge of the Europeans. जी बुकां आशिल्ली ती तांकां इन्फॉर्मेशन दिताली अबाउट द ट्रेड रूट्स बिटवीन द फार ईस्ट अँड वेस्ट अँड इम्प्रूव्ड द जॉग्राफिकल नॉलेज ऑफ द युरोपियन्स. तांची नॉलेज वाडयताली. बुक्स खंयची बुक्स आशिल्ली? Some of the books which were helpful to the people were Geography, written by Ptolemy, and a Merchant's Handbook by Florentine. These books provided valuable information and were a guide to them when they undertook the voyages. Some of the important books which were helpful to the people were Geography, written by Ptolemy, and a Merchant's Handbook by Florentine. त्या बुकांतल्यान तांकां कितें मेळटालें? These books provided valuable information and were a guide to them when they undertook the voyages. Patronage from the European monarch. The traders during this period had secured the patronage from the European rulers to undertake voyages to the unknown lands. Unknown lands वचपाक जाय, तांचे बद्दल म्हायती काडपाक जाय, because they considered it as an opportunity to make investment which would earn them high returns in terms of money and land. तांकां बरी opportunity मेळटली कितें करपाक जाल्यार इन्वेस्टमेंट करपाक in terms of money and land. By supporting the explorers, these monarchs could expand their empires by bringing the new areas under their political supremacy. Besides this, they knew that they would be able to earn more wealth through the trading activities in the East. Thus, they provided all kinds of financial and non-financial support to the explorers and the traders. तांकां खबर आशिल्लें आपलें राज्य वाडोवपाक मेळटलें, आपलें भरपूर वेल्थ करपाक मेळटली आनी ह्या ट्रेडिंग एक्टिविटीजांतल्यान. सो तांणी तांकां सगळी हेल्प करपाची ठरयलें, सपोर्ट दिवपाचो ठरयलो, फायनान्शियल and non-financial. Desire to spread Christianity. Next point. The discovery of new lands was looked upon by the Christian missionaries as an opportunity to spread their religion. तांचो धर्म वाडोवपा खातीर, धर्माचो प्रचार करपा खातीर क्रिश्चन मिशनरी ही एक opportunity मेळ्ळी. These missionaries were often supported by the European traders and merchants who were also keen to exploit the unexplored lands. एक्सप्लॉयट करपाक सोदताले जे जे जागे आसात, ज्या जागी कोणाकच खबर ना, थंय वचून आपल्यालो रिलीजन वाडोवप आनी थंयच्या लोकांक एक्सप्लॉयट करप. Availability of the navigational aids. Next point. The explorers had an access to a number of navigational aids like mariner's compass, astrolabe, geographical map, knowledge about shipbuilding, etc. हे एक्सप्लोरर्स जे आशिल्ले तांकां नॉलेज आशिल्ली कसली जाल्यार तांचे कडेन नॅविगेशनल एड्स लायक मॅरिनर्स कंपास, एस्ट्रोलॅब, जियोग्राफिकल मॅप, नॉलेज अबाउट ship building, etc. Of all these, it was the use of mariner's compass which was most useful to them. आणि हातूंत भितर चड करून तांकां मॅरिनर्स कंपास युजफूल पडटालो. तो नॉर्थ सावथ डायरेक्शन दाखयता. Though it was an ancient Chinese invention, it was invented by China, it was put to proper use only in the 15th century. It provided the navigator an idea about the direction in which they were sailing, and this helped them to navigate properly in the deep oceans. जेन्ना ते डीप ओशियना वता तेन्ना हो नॅविगेशनल एड मॅरिनर्स कंपास तांकां भरपूर युजफूल जातालो टू शो द डायरेक्शन in which they were sailing. Next point, capture of the city of Constantinople. Europe had enjoyed a flourishing trade and commerce with Asia through Constantinople, the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. Constantinople was the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire for many years. In 1453, Constantinople fell into the hands of the Ottoman Turks. The capital आशिल्लें कॉन्स्टँटिनोपल हें टक्सांनी जिखून घेतलें in 1453, and the Europe's trade with the East disrupted because the Turkish rulers did not allow the Europeans to carry out their trade through this route. ह्या रुटांतल्यान वचूंक दिनासले. तेन्ना जे रस्ते आशिल्ले ते कॉन्स्टँटिनोपल लँड रूट्स आशिल्ले ते कॉन्स्टँटिनोपल म्हणटा थंयच मेळटाले. सो युरोपियन्सांक ते जे टर्किश रुलर्स आशिल्ले ते थंयच्यान वचूंक दिना जाल्ले. बट सिन्स देर वॉज ए कॉन्स्टंट डिमांड फॉर द इस्टर्न गुड्स, They could not stop their trading activities, and so they were compelled to find a new sea route so that their trade could continue. Thus, all these various factors initiated the process of discovering the new world by the explorers and the navigators. So, all these factors initiated the process of discovering the new world by the explorers and the navigators. सगळे factors, for example, limitation of land routes, knowledge of the wealth, growth of the geographical discoveries, patronage by the European monarchs, desire to spread Christianity, availability of the navigational aids, capture of the Constantinople, हे सगळे factors initiated the process of discovering of the new world by the explorers and the navigators. हे सगळे factors लागून explorers and navigators started the process of discovering the new world.